All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checker TV. Tonight we have the Dark Horse Area 51 Indy Series here tonight at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, aka Loudon. So right now, drivers putting down their qualifying laps, as I believe track position is going to be extremely important at this flat 1 mile oval. As you can see, lap distance tonight, 135 will be the race distance. Of course, as always, no green white checkers with the Indy Series. However, all drivers do have that one fast pair available for use should they need it. And I have a sinking suspicion there will probably be one that is pretty used here tonight. So, like I said, we'll keep an eye on qualifying results as they continue on. But first we got to switch over to our point standings coming into tonight. And it's going to be Scott Rankin with his win at the season opener, holding onto a 15-point lead over Craig Forsyth there in second. And then Nick DeGroot, a huge jump in the points up to third after his win last week, now 19 out of the lead. You can see we got a tie for fourth with Jim Brooks, Eric Peterson there, only 20 out of the lead. And the remainder of the top 10, you've got Anders Arhus, Jeff Hisong, Charles T, Joseph Morales, and Yari Brupacher, our top 10 drivers thus far in the season. So I believe tonight will, like I said, I think tonight's going to be a very difficult one here for the drivers. As again, very difficult to pass here. Aero push, aero wash is going to definitely be something to keep an eye on. So we're going to probably see drivers actually running maybe a little higher than you'd be used to seeing them run at Loudon, especially if you're more familiar with the open wheel, or sorry, I should say the full body stock cars. So yeah, definitely keep an eye. See these guys running a lot higher in the grooves. So actually, we'll jump over to turn 2, so you can kind of see that black line there, kind of in the middle of the track. You'll probably see them actually up in the lighter section there. Say same thing through 3 and 4. I think we're gonna see them more up on that top end of the track. So I think that's gonna be definitely a big one for tonight. So it looks like just a few drivers left to make their qualifying laps. I think a few of these drivers waiting till the last minute to try to see if they can get any benefits that they can from that slightly later start point. Looks like just about a minute left. Saying showing on my screen 2 drivers left to qualify, or I should say 2 drivers still on track qualifying. And it looks like about 20 cars roughly will be taking the grid here tonight, and then we will get this underway here very, very shortly. But looks like pretty much everybody has made their laps now. So just wait for that ticker to time on through here. About 30 seconds left, and then we will get this race underway. So some other info that we'll need to know for tonight. Fuel window sounds like it will be around 40 laps on the full rich side of things. However, if these drivers want to maybe get a little more aggressive, probably can stretch it to about 50 laps or so roughly, I would expect. So we'll kind of see what the pit strategy is going to be here as well. And as I say, that qualifying has just completed. So we're going to pull on our starting grid for tonight. It's going to be Scott Rankin on pole. A great lap for that 156 and our points leader coming into tonight. And it's going to be Anders Arhus in that second position there on the front row. Then you got Jim Brooks in third, Alec Coates, Jim Herrick rounding out our top 5. In third in points, Nick DeGroot. Then you got Charles Teed, Michael Spell, Matt Wagner, and Yari Brupacher, our top 10. 11th and 12th. Second place in points, Craig Forsyth there in 11th, Eric Schaus in 12th. So we continue to run down the order here. Then you got Jeff Hisong in 13th, AJ Hobson, Gary Corley. Then you have Jack Walls, Joseph Morales, Eric Peterson, and Thaddeus McMurray. So it looks like 19 drivers at the moment going to be a part of this one here tonight, as the drivers starting to get gridded up here at the start-finish line. And so we'll see what we've got in here for this evening. So for the Arhus fans on the stream here. Say it's a great start for Anders. They're going to start in that second position outside front row. And honestly, it may not be a bad place to start. Again, initial start goes on the green. So, like I said, I feel like I've seen the outside line be where drivers are going to want to be over the course of this race. So maybe Anders can get a really good start here and get that all-important clean air in the front of that 10 car. waiting for a couple more cars to grid, and then we will start these drivers rolling off. Again, 135 laps is our race distance this evening. So probably a 2-stop window, I believe, on fuel. Maybe I think drivers, I think it'll probably be a 2-stopper. I think 3 would be if you're being really aggressive on the throttle on the fuel map. So I think probably pretty safe there. And it looks like we do have all 19 cars here on the grid. So wait for that pace car to start rolling off, and we will get underway here. Again, front row is going to be Scott Rankin and Anders Aarhus. And say, unfortunately, running solo tonight. Say Steve Gottschalk had to take care of some things, some matters at home. So all as well. Just say he just needed a little bit of time to take care of some things. So definitely miss you, Steve. But look forward to seeing you in some of these future broadcasts over the course of the season. Still got lots of racing left to go. But yeah, it's still going to be a lot of fun to see what these guys have in store for us here, as you see the field all starting to get doubled up here as they head towards these coming through 3 and 4. And that's going to hand it over to our front row. And I say again, they're going to go on the green flag. So now it's going to be all about who gets the initial jump here. And it's going to probably be a pretty quick green flag. And you see they're down and away quickly. Charles Teed straight to the inside there, entering turn 1. And it looks like Scott Rankin's going to get the start he was hoping for and gets himself a little bit of track position there out of turn number 2. Apologies for the miscue on the ticker there. Say a little bit of a technical difficulty, but all is resolved now as it continues to be Scott Rankin leading the way over Anders Aarhus, Jim Brooks in 3rd. Nick DeGroot's gained 2 spots from the start up into the 4th position. But the traffic is really picking up right here around Charles Teed, Jim Herrick, Michael Spell, Matt Wagner right there as well, and then Craig Forsyth right behind here. So this is where they're going to be really fighting for that track position, trying to find where they need to put these cars here. As right now Matt Wagner's trying to work this inside line, seeing if he can find a way to get around that number 27 to Craig Forsyth. But yeah, it looks like right now that outside line is where these drivers really want to be here, able to kind of keep that momentum built up. But we'll see a lot of lanes here through the course of this race. However, up front, while we're watching that, Anders Aarhus trying to make a move here through 3 and 4. Has the run on the inside. Can't quite clear that 156 of Scott Rankin, but does lead that lap. And saying this is going to be, I think, a pretty big fight here between the two of them. As again, you can see Anders just inches away from clearing him. We'll actually here, let's hop on board and see if we can maybe watch from that 51 of Jim Brooks. So he's got the best seat in the house right now for this battle. As again, it's so close there for Anders, almost can make the pass happen, and then just that little bit of momentum on the outside line is allowing Scott Rankin to hang on to that. But these guys putting on a really good side-by-side fight here for the lead. Very impressed with what they're able to do right now. And you can see the difference right there, the kind of where Anders gains and where he loses. That short distance, Anders is able to really work the turn here through 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. It's just the momentum he loses on the exit. Having to keep that wheel cranked a little bit harder, can't open up the steering wheel to get that momentum on the exit. And that's right now the only thing I feel like that's costing him from being able to grab that lead. But what I do like from what he's doing right now is he's being aggressive, but he's also still being very patient, very respectful of Scott Rankin. Obviously had a couple of opportunities to try to maybe force the issue, but choosing not to, just trying to find a way to get around him and do it cleanly. But yeah, definitely is working hard here behind the wheel of that number 10. Good evening, Dr. Schaus. Good to have you on board as well. Still early in the going, so he didn't miss much. Starting lap number 9 of 135, so lots of racing left to go. Saying your Eric Schaus update, currently sitting in 13th position. but not too worried about that yet for Eric. He's usually one that's got some strategies up his sleeve, so I have a feeling he's probably got something in mind here that he's going to be aiming for. As again, right now it's just now starting lap number 10. As now things starting to spread out a little bit there. I think Anders having to kind of probably cool those tires off and maybe try to regroup and get after him a little later, I should say. So we're going to jump a little bit further back here because Jim Herrick, Charles T did a really solid battle here for 6th and 7th. And also Matt Wagner, Craig Forsyth continue to battle here, as just behind them you got Yari Brupacher, Michael Spell, and then AJ Hobson all in a little gaggle here as well through 1 and 2, as inches apart there through 1 and 2 there between the 4 and the 88, but all get through cleanly. That's going to bring, as we just mentioned, Eric Schaus is going to bring him right into the thick of this battle as well. Oh, you see a little lock up there, possibly from the 4. That's going to cost him the momentum, and that's exactly what Eric needed there. He's going to clear the 4 of AJ Hobson. He's going to bring along a friend as well of Jeff Hysong. So unfortunately, that little mistake by AJ cost him 2 positions there. But we're going to move back up to about the 4th position here because it's starting to tighten up front here. Scott Rankin starting to sneak away just a little bit. Maybe he was trying to be gentle on the tires to kind of kick things off. But now from Anders, Jim, and Nick here, they're all within not even half a second of one another. And that fight with Charles Teed, Jim Herrick continues on as well. You see right now, Charles tried to see if he could look on the inside. It was kind of what we've seen a little earlier. Jim holding very, very strong on that outside line. Again, you can see the momentum difference that that's happening between those 2 lanes here. And again, this is 2 reasons for this. 1, of course, Charles T trying to pass Jim Herrick, but 2, you also do not want to be in that dirty air of that car in front of you, as Charles gets a great run off of turn 2. Maybe Jim probably cutting him a little bit of slack as well. That's going to move Charles T now up into that 6th position now, right behind Alec Coates in the 3. So I haven't talked a lot about Alec so far this race, but having a nice calm race here early on, sitting in that top 5 spot. But I have a feeling he's going to have a mirror full of that number 50 very shortly. We'll jump back a little further here because, again, AJ Hobson trying to regroup here, trying to get some spots back, working on Jeff Hysong. Looks like he's got the entry there, and he's actually going to complete the pass on the entry. So great move there, getting in and around right off the bat there. I also see Eric Schaus. He's now moved his way up into the 11th position, I believe, getting around Michael Spell as well. So now Eric flirting with the top 10. As we're going to go back up front, though, or further towards the front here, because we just talked about Charles Teed, and here he comes. He's ready to try to make one more move, and that's going to try to get him into that top 5 with that number 50. And again, it seems like Charles actually does a really good job, but he can really get the throttle down even when pinned down on the inside line. As you can see, completes the pass here, and it looks like, again, able to get on the throttle. So either just whatever Charles is doing behind the wheel or what he's adjusted in the car, working very well for that number 50. Now moving himself up into that top 5 here. So really good opening stints here so far for Charles Teed. Everywhere else here starting to calm down just a little bit. Like I said, AJ Hobson, I think, again, trying to recover a little bit, trying to gain some positions once more. Now working on the 88 of Michael Spell as they come through 3 and 4. But again, lap time is going to start clicking off very quickly here. Been hearing roughly, again, I think on the low side for the fuel mileage, probably about 40 laps. So I would say more likely probably around 45 to 50 is probably what we'll see. But again, that should be a 2-stop window to the end if I'm seeing everything correctly. As they come through 1 and 2 once more. Almost again, you see AJ Hobson once more trying to, actually seems like he's able to really get the moves going on the entry of the turns, more so than the middle, center, and exit. So everybody's kind of finding their strong suits right now. We're going to jump back, or I should say jump forward a little bit, because now it's Anders Arhus and Jim Brooks now starting to try to fight for that number 2 spot. Jim just slowly but surely creeping in a little bit here. Let's say again, just a little bit of an ebb and flow right now. Say Jim now within about 0.3 of a second of Anders, but I think he's going to have a harder time to try to make that pass. You see Jim actually working different lines here, kind of entering high, slowing down a little bit extra, and then trying to get a big run on the exit. And that's what you can do with these cars, is you can try to move them around and try to make some adjustments behind the wheel, and then also of course on the track. I'm going to try to find the tricks that you can do, but you can see right now bouncing all the way down to fourth gear, almost getting up into sixth gear there down the straight. So a lot of shifting going on lap after lap as well. But so far this one's settling out a little bit, so we're going to jump a little further back here. Jack Walls in that 83 working over Michael Spell, and then Jeff Heisong right in front of him, also bringing Gary Corley along for good measure as well. So I'll say a lot of battles here going on around on track here, pretty much all over the place. Like I said, right now this one our closest battle as they run, as Jack's just a couple of car lengths as you can see behind, and it's going to be, I think, a similar situation. If Jack just has a little bobble, I think that's going to open the door for that number 7 of Gary Corley to try to capitalize and try to get that spot from him. You can see the top 3 starting again, that ebb and flow starting to close in a little bit there. But then once again, Scott able to sneak by just a little bit here. So I think the big question right now, if we keep this green look like this race has, is going to be pit stop strategy. So say if you want to maybe try to split this race evenly, maybe try to do the undercut, if you will, which is again pitting maybe a little earlier, taking advantage of those fresh tires to try to see if you can do the pass in the pit stop cycle on your pit entry, your in lap, your out lap. And then use those fresh tires to your advantage, because again, it looks like it's going to definitely be a difficult one to pass tonight. But again, the risk there though is if you get an untimely yellow, that will trap you one lap down. So that's going to be a very big gamble for some of these guys to make the right call for tonight. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye on them, as this is another battle here. Oh, I saw a little bit of smoke there. I think that may have been from Alec Coates, but looks like all is well. But you know that's going to catch some of the drivers' attention there. But yeah, so Matt Wagner working on those LMC gear teammates, kind of in the sandwich between the two, the 40 and the 27. Been fighting with Craig earlier on the race now. Looks like he's got Jim Herrick in his sights. And then that battle with Jack Walls, Gary Corley, Michael Spell continues on as well here as we're starting lap number 30. Apologies there for I'm being jumped on by my cat trying to get extra attention from me. So had to go quiet there for a second, try to make sure it didn't break anything. But this continues to be a really good battle here between Jack and Michael. So far Michael hasn't put a foot wrong, able to hold on to that position. However, like I said, again, just the ebb and flow, Jim kind of creeps in just a little closer to that number 10 car, and then the 10 able to sneak away a little bit. So right now, pretty even between our top 4. So lap time wise, pretty much everybody's right now. Pretty much everybody in the top 10 right now running still in the high 22s, about 22.7 to 22.9 range in the top 11. From about 12th on back, looks like they've dropped to about 23 seconds. Pretty much the whole field right now just separated by about a half a second overall lap time wise. So these guys definitely putting down some pretty solid laps here, and very, very even, I would say, speeds as well with these drivers. Saw a little bobble there from Jim out of 4, and that's going to allow that 10 to sneak away just a little bit. So say, well, again, we'll jump back here because Jack Walls again trying to make another move on Michael Spell, just hasn't had enough to get by him, and it looks like he's still in that similar boat here to steal a little bit of draft here. This is probably about the closest he's been for a little while here. He's going to try to grab that inside line through 1 and 2. Had a nose ahead for a moment. Can he get the power down? And yes, he can. So move Jack Walls up now into 14th position. And now we're going to go back to this battle here with Jim Herrick, Matt Wagner. As same situation here. Matt's probably about the closest he's been all race long, as he stays right on the side pod of that 40. But again, the outside momentum is just able to carry him through a little bit better. So we'll keep an eye on this fight because right now this is definitely a really good battle. They're almost touching the wall. There was Jim Herrick, but they keep it off, and they're going to stay side by side one more lap here. Man, Jim is just flirting with every inch of that wall off of turn number 2. Really good car positioning, knowing where the limits are of that car. Unfortunately, I would definitely not be in the same boat there. I probably would have already smacked the wall a couple of times in the way I seem to have my driving styles. But Jim doing a great job, I said, and that's the thing, is they know how hard it is to pass, so they got to stay aggressive here. As Matt finally does have to give in here and tuck back in for the moment. But you know he's going to make another go at it at some point. So, and last time by, fastest lap of the race this time for Scott Rankin. Puts a big lap down there, about 0.3 of a second quicker than Anders Aarhus, and the lap times are definitely starting to slow down here. Scott there with a 22.46, everybody else in the 79s and higher. So he's doing a great job. I think has been taking a really good care of his tires here in this green flag run. It also probably helps to have that clean air on the front wing of that car, although you see in the background there, not too far away from starting to catch some lap traffic. So that could be a decision time for Scott here. If he gets them before his pit window opens for fuel, this might be an opportunity for someone behind him. Again, we talked about that undercut. If he gets stuck in traffic, that would be a great opportunity for somebody to make a gamble, jump in early, and see if you can grab the lead that way. So right now, the math says if you want to split this race exactly even, someone will be pitting at lap number 45, would be splitting it evenly. You go 45, 90, and then to 135. So that's going to be the question mark. Do we see anybody go beyond 45, or do we see, again, because it's going to be up. Actually, we got it even earlier here. It's going to be Jim Brooks. He's going to be the first to gamble, wants to come in early, and he's going to hit pit road in that number 51 even before that lap 45 mark. Should still be good to go on the 2-stop strategy. Just might have to stretch this next run a little bit longer before his final stop. So this is the gamble for Jim, because as he enters, finally hits his pit stall, here comes Scott Rankin, again already about to put him a lap down. Takes no time whatsoever with the pace that these cars are putting down. 23-second laps. So again, Jim going for an undercut strategy as he's just rolling out of pit road now. But it's a very tricky, very narrow pit road, very flat, so you got to make sure you don't get too aggressive on the throttle, spin it on the exit. It looks like he has a nice, clean exit here. So now the question, though, of course, is where he comes out in relation to the traffic, as well as going to slow his pace a little bit down. He's going to be hoping his fresh tires are allow him to make some quick and easy passes. Because now you see Scott Rankin just about in that window of that traffic. Does he react? Because we are coming to 45 this time around. It looks like he's going to continue to run this one out here. I think does not want to risk that yellow. As you see Nick DeGroot, he's going to respond. He's going to go for that split strategy there, and he's going to hit pit road at lap number 45. We're going to keep an eye on Scott here and see what can he do with this traffic. Does he, again, he might need to think about reacting. He does. So here he comes. He's going to come in behind a few drivers. Anders Aarhus in with him as well. So now it's basically who wants to go a little further. And that's going to be Charles Teed in the 50. He's going to lead that lap there, trying to stretch his fuel numbers a little bit more. And of course, the next thing we're going to be watching is to see where some of these drivers come out in relation to one another. Notably being Jim Brooks to the, I believe, to Nick DeGroot. And right now, it looks like Nick's got the advantage by a fair margin. As now Charles Teed hits pit road. Now, does anybody else have more fuel to go? And the answer is yes. Matt Wagner, he's going to stretch this one even further than those other guys, along with still a handful of drivers that have yet to make their pit stops. So right now, really spaced out at the moment here. However, a big benefit right now for Scott Rankin with his pit stop there and the margin he had ahead. He stays on the lead lap over Matt Wagner as Matt Wagner hits pit road. Craig Forsyth hits pit road. So I'd say we're not getting pretty close to having the stops completions, and we'll see kind of where this running order changes after everybody completes their cycle. It's going to bring Jim Herrick, Yari Brewpacker in together. As you see, Jim Brooks kind of in the middle of a gaggle there, as Eric Schaus now takes the point in that 72 car. And I think what's happened to Jim here is it looks like he's actually kind of caught. He went for the short pit strategy, but it has not worked out for him. You can see he's actually now behind Nick DeGroot as well. I think he just hasn't been able to get around this traffic like he was hoping to. I shouldn't say traffic, I should say just drivers that are kind of off sequence to him. Because you can see, I mean, they're still running really solid times and just isn't able to get around these guys at the moment. So unfortunately, costing him a fair bit of track position during this green flag pit cycle, and that's the risk versus reward, unfortunately. As you see Eric Schaus here. Oh, I think Eric may be running low on fuel, possibly. So he's going to go for a very, very different approach to pit road, having to take the road course section here, as he's going to duck into pit road, which will now cycle things. Oh, actually, I think we had a wreck on the front stretch. We do. It's going to be the 88 of Michael Spell right in the middle of that pit stop cycle. Unfortunately, see Michael here. He's going to duck to the inside. The big question for Eric Schaus is if he was on pit road before the caution came out, he could be in a very good spot here to keep track position. So we're going to watch Eric, and I think it's going to cycle through to Scott Rankin. But I believe actually Eric Peterson yet to pit here in that 36 car, and might have a handful of drivers here trapped a lap down. Not too many, as he was towards the back of the field here, but right now it's going to be Eric Peterson actually showing as our race leader, as he is yet to make that first pit stop. And so sure enough, here comes Eric here. He's going to make his first pit stop under yellow, and that's going to leave a lot of drivers again that are going to stay out here to try to kind of either keep track position or to get their lap back, get back on the tail end. As right now you see numerous cars here. It looks like the 4 of AJ Hobson, he's going to be the lucky dog. But so you see the 156 here of Scott Rankin, but look at how many cars are sitting in front of him. It looks like about 4 cars there. So say kind of we'll look at the drivers a lap or more down. I believe it's going to be including Jeff Hysong there, Jack Walls, Thaddeus McMurray, and Gary Corley. I believe those are going to be the 4 to take the wave around. And then for the pit stop cycle we were just talking about, so Scott Rankin again, he holds onto the lead. Anders Arhus is going to hold second. Nick DeGroot's been able to promote himself up into third over Jim Brooks and fourth. So that's one spot changed over the pit stop cycle. But I think the big winner in all of that is got to be Eric Schaus. He got some laps led there, went long, and was able to cleanly hit pit road right as that caution came out, and sits in that 5th position. So I think the timing on the yellow may have been a very good one for Eric here, as that's gained him a bunch of track position. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as things continue along here. So we'll have 2 drivers a lap or more down, one of those being Joseph Morales in the 60. Unfortunately was not able to get around Scott Rankin or stay ahead of Scott Rankin in order to be that lucky dog driver, the wave around driver, apologies. And then Michael Spell being in that incident right now, sitting at 2 laps down in the 88. So right now those are the 2 drivers down. Actually, never went back to see what exactly happened to Michael Spell. So let's go back to see what brought out this yellow, as actually that's earlier on here. Let's go a little further back here. This is the incident I believe we're looking for. You see Michael here down on the inside, and looks like it may have just stepped out on him here. We'll kind of keep an eye as you see coming out of, you see gets the throttle down and that car just steps around, unfortunately. Nothing. At that point, he's just along for the ride. Almost has it saved there, but then just catches the inside wall. And that point, suspension's damaged, tires flopping around. So there's just not a lot he can do. So not ideal, but luckily, though, able to use that fast repair, get back out on track. Like I said, though, unfortunately now trapped 2 laps down as they run here. However, though, lights are off of the pace car. That's going to put it back into the hands of Scott Rankin. And this time, single file restart. And he has control of when he wants to go. So this is definitely where that track position comes into play. And Scott was able to make that pit stop scheduled perfectly. See a little bit of movement back in the field here. I'm not sure if anything happened towards the back. I think actually Thaddeus McMurray. Yeah, he's got some pretty heavy damage, but we're about to go. Oh, no, actually looks like they extend the caution. So yeah, so something happened to Thaddeus here under that yellow. You can see that suspension damages to his car. He's gonna have to burn that fast tire. So I'm guessing it's good. Yeah, it's something with Gary Corley and Thaddeus McMurray because they both get together here. So this is never something you want to look at to see what happens, especially when it's under yellow here. But you see, oh, it just looks like miscommunication there, where I think Gary was trying to pass Thaddeus. Thaddeus was trying to let Gary by, and they both kind of just wind up going the same way. I've had a similar situation, usually at grocery stores with shopping carts, where you kind of just wind up blocking the same person over and over on accident. So one of those after you situations. But so unfortunately for both those drivers, getting some pretty significant damage to their cars. Thaddeus is back out on track after using his fast repair. Gary Corley still sits in pit road. Not sure if he had to take a tow or not. We're going to jump back over, though, to Scott Rankin as he's going to lead this field here back to green to come to lap number 56. I see there Gary Corley just now coming back out onto the track from pit road. But right now, again, it's going to be Scott Rankin to continue to lead this race here. I say we talked about track position being crucial, and right now Scott has been able to do a lot of that there. Oh, as Anders Arhus, if he didn't hit the wall, he was flirting with it dangerously close there. And unfortunately, it looks like it may allow Nick DeGroot to get around him here. And yet, indeed it does. So unfortunately, that's going to drop Anders now back one spot to third. The big question, though, is if he touched that wall or not, because if he did, that car will not be driving very well. But I believe it was just he really had to roll out of it to avoid damage. So I think he's still in good shape here. Just unfortunately losing that one spot at the moment. But again, still long ways to go in this one here. Not quite even at the halfway point. So you got Charles Teed, Eric Schaus battling for the 5th position here. Like I said, Eric was able to jump a couple guys through the pit stop cycles there. Just the strategy worked out perfectly for Eric. And so right now, Charles trying to find a way around, just hasn't been able to do so as of yet. So right now, so you can see how close they are through the turns again. Just the momentum carried on the outside line it's obviously definitely where these guys want to be. And it's like we talked about at the beginning. Usually we're used to the Cup drivers, the stock cars running around that section there, a little lower down the track. These Indy cars just running the momentum on the top side just seems to be the faster way around, getting that little bit of extra banking and just really letting that car sing and keep that momentum up there. Sitting right behind them, as you see, there goes Gary Corley trying to peek to the inside. We'll see if he can complete the pass or not, as Matt Wagner also trying to get around. But right now, these two stay side by side. Here's Charles is close, but not quite enough to get around Eric there. However, this time Charles is able to complete that pass there. Probably a little bit of give and take, I have a feeling as well there. But I think it's one of the things Eric says, all right, I know you're faster now, so go ahead and we'll see how things look later on in the run. So move Charles back up into that top 5 in the 50. As again, now say kind of set our sights here with Matt Wagner and Alec Coates, and then also Jari Brupacher working over Eric Peterson. And again, Eric was one of those drivers. He actually waited until that caution came out before he wound up pitting. So great fuel mileage out of that number 36 car. As I say, as Jari was trying to make a move on Eric there, that's brought Jeff Heisong into the mix as well, as these guys battle for 13th and 14th. 12th and 13th. Sorry. So Matt Wagner continuing to try. Oh, maybe a little bit of contact there on entry. Not sure. You can see both those drivers have a little bobble there. Oh, as I said, a little more contact on the exit. Definitely not wanting to say this is, again, not stock cars. Don't want to be banging fenders. But it looks like that pass is going to get completed by Matt Wagner. Probably a little bit of elbows out there. Felt like he was losing too much time probably and got very aggressive there. And then Craig Forsyth able to take advantage of that momentum loss from Alec Coates, and that'll jump him now up into the 8th position. Up front, things are starting to stretch out a little bit for Scott and Nick. They're about a second between 1, 2, and 3. Jim Brooks is down to about 3 to 4 tenths of a second behind Anders Aarhus. Again, kind of that ebb and flow. Right now, the field actually pretty spread out throughout the course of the run here. So we'll actually go ahead and pull through. We'll kind of just to show kind of how things are spread out here. We'll kind of hit the turn 1 on camera here. We'll pick up Scott Rankin initially there in that 156. Just so you can kind of see the margins between the drivers here, between 1 and 2. Here comes 3rd and 4th right together. Then you had Teed, Schaus, Matt Wagner. And then as you get a little further back, here's where they start to pick up a little bit of closeness. But like I said, everybody's got a little bit of spacing between them as they run. And saying coming out of turn number 4, here comes Scott Rankin once more. Just to show how quick these laps are here at New Hampshire as we just cross the halfway point in this one. However, we talked about Charles Teed was working over Eric Schaus, grabbing that 5th spot. He's got 4th and 3rd in his sights now as well. He's definitely putting down some good laps as he sends it there into turn number 3. Had to get on the brakes, I think, to avoid getting into the back of Jim Brooks. So it's going to be something Jim's going to be watching his mirrors a little closer there, seeing how deep Charles is able to send it there into that turn. We're going to definitely keep Jim's attention. And again, if Jim gets into that arrow wash of Anders, could force him to slow his car down a little bit and open the door for Charles to take advantage. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye on that as this run continues on. Jumping back to Jari Brupaker, so I'm going to pick up the aggression on Eric Peterson as well. This is 11th and 12th, so say right now probably our closest battle on track. And then right now the other battle, like I mentioned a little earlier, is between Anders, Jim, and Charles. Say they're all just a couple of tenths apart as well. The rest of the field all's got about a solid second or so between them, so it's one of those things that's kind of trying to bounce around to see where the action's happening here. And I'll say this is definitely one of the closer fights as they run here. Although you see Charles just lost a little bit there out of 4. He's going to have to try to regain it back here. You can see he gains a ton of time on entry there. And I think just unfortunately loses it a little bit on exit as well. So he's going to have to try to find something, a move he can do to try to find a way to see if he can make something happen on Jim. Right now he's pretty committed to the inside, it looks like, in that 50. The 10 and the 51 seem to be more wanting to run that upper line there, so that's what you're going to see these guys do, is just kind of all bounce around to find where that clean air is and where they think they'll have their best opportunity to make some lap time. Kind of have the feeling where this is going to be one of those races where in the heat of the moment there's going to be some very frustrated drivers at certain points in the race, but then I think after the race you're going to have, once they kind of all debrief with each other, it's going to be one of those realizations like, man, that was actually a pretty fun race because we had to fight really hard with one another, kind of just almost tooth and nail, if you will, to try to make those passes happen. And so say as long as I said, as long as they kind of keep it clean and in the passing zone, say, I think that'll definitely be something that'll be talked about post race. But yeah, right now these guys definitely going after every little bit they can. But right now it's just, again, still holding pretty even. You see Charles Teed, he's really fallen off of Jim Brooks here, maybe trying to go off strategy a little bit, or maybe just trying to get a little temperature back into the tire. Maybe got it a little bit too hot. But right now, pace definitely isn't looking like it needs to be for Charles. Not sure. Car looks visibly okay. Trying to see maybe a little bit of wing damage, maybe caught the wall a little bit, but not seeing anything apparent on that 50 car. And say last time by, he was pretty much right back on pace with the leader. So I think maybe just trying to regroup a little bit here. Like I said, cool those tires back off and make another charge, because I think just knows he's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place here, fighting with Jim and Anders there for 3rd and 4th. So say before we get to our final set of pit stops, let's run through the field here real quick. We'll start with our pole sitter and leader in that 156 of Scott Rankin. Of course, mentioned winner of the first race of the season. And next to him is Nick DeGroot, winner of the 2nd race this season. So right now our race winner is running 1-2 here. In 3rd position, you got the number 10 of Anders Arhus. In 4th, you have Jim Brooks. And then our 5th position is that number 50 of Charles Teed. In 6th, you got the 72 of Eric Schaus. 7th position is the number 6 of Matt Wagner. And in 8th, you have the 27 of Craig Forsyth. 9th position is the number 3 of Alec Coates. And then rounding out currently our top 10 is the number 40 of Jim Herrick. Then in 11th, Eric Peterson. Again, he was the one that went the furthest on fuel that last time around. We'll see, maybe he's got some more of that fuel magic in that number 36 this time around. And then in 12th, you have Jari Brupacher in the 49. Jeff Heisong in 13th in the 18. Jack Walls in the 83 sits in 14th. And in 15th, you have AJ Hobson in that number 4. And Thaddeus McMurray rounding out our drivers on the lead lap in that number 37 machine. And the drivers a lap or more down. Right now, Joseph Morales actually looks like about to go a lap down in the 60. Actually, go 2 down, I should say, in that 60 car, as he indeed does, is in 17th position. And then Michael Spell, 2 laps down as well, sits in the 18th position. So right now, those are our top 18 drivers, 16 of which are on the lead lap. Unfortunately, Gary Corley has retired from this event. And right now, field is definitely starting to spread out here a little bit. As we're approaching 52 to go. Right now, 51 at the line, 50 to go next time around. And I think that field window is going to be opening very shortly for this final scheduled stop. I think it's just going to be about who wants to make that strategy call win. I'm watching Charles Teed starting to creep back up into the picture here. Maybe trying to close that gap before they make that final scheduled stop. And Jamie, you are spot on. I definitely have the face for radio. I say as long as they don't ever start wanting to share webcams for broadcasting, I think I'll have a job. But if video webcams are involved in broadcasting in the future, I'm probably going to lose a job. So let's definitely hope they don't ask for webcam sharing in the future. All right, so just like last time, Jim Brooks, he's going to be the first to gamble. He's going to hit pit road here, coming to 49 to go. We'll see. Maybe he has better luck this time than the previous. Didn't work from before. So maybe he'll have some better luck. Like I said, maybe kind of get out in a bit better opening of traffic. But I think, again, we'll probably see a pretty mixed bag of who wants to respond win. As we know, these drivers can at least go 45 on fuel, some even further than that. So far, though, Jim's a lonely man on pit road. Nobody's joining in with him as of yet, as he's coming out of pit road here. And I think this time he's going to have a little better track in front of him, as he's only got the 3 car of Alec Coates ahead of him. So he's going to have some clear traffic. This is where he's got to really make time now. Needs to be very aggressive on the lap times. And that's what I'm going to be watching. Once we get up to speed, let's watch to see what kind of lap times he gets compared to our leader, Scott Rankin. As Scott's just at the close up to Michael Spell as well. But I think for Jim here, probably focusing more on Nick DeGroot, Anders Arhus, see if he can get back into that top 3. Because, I mean, you know he's going to want to get interviewed. And if he can't get interviewed by his favorite son, at least maybe he can get interviewed by his second favorite son. So right now, this is Jim's first lap up to speed, and it's a 23:08 to Anders 22:75. So actually about a quarter of a second slower. So we'll keep an eye on the numbers here. So right now it isn't what he's looking for there though. And so far nobody's responding. That might be why that they see the lap times aren't what they probably were hoping it was going to be as he comes around this time around. This time it's a 22:89. But again, just isn't quite what the other guys around are doing. I'd say he's got new tires, but it just might be that car being heavier on fuel maybe isn't what he needs here. So yeah, so we'll have to keep an eye and continue to see. I'm not sure if maybe he had to pass some traffic in over those course of those couple of laps or not, but isn't really making much ground on that 3 of Alec Coates. So this time by 22.75, so maybe tires warming up, speeds maybe starting to pick up a little bit. But as I say that though, Nick DeGroot 22.65, as I think he knows that the pressure is starting to build, and I think this is when these guys are going to, again, you kind of try to start maximizing those in-laps and out-laps. All right, Scott Rankin, actually, to me, surprisingly, he's going to hit pit road as Nick DeGroot just nicked the cone there. Yeah, I saw the cone from the outset there just bobble a little bit here. We're going to go back and we'll take a look at that entry by Nick DeGroot here, because that could be a risky pit decision. Maybe gets a penalty or not. I don't know if it matters if you touch the cone or if the cone has to fall off completely or not. But we're going to watch here again. We'll watch the replay. Watch the 89 here as he tries to come in right behind that number 156 here. You're going to see him lock it down here. It's going to send the car to the right. Watch that yellow cone. You're going to see it bobble just the littlest of bits there. And actually maybe a net code bobble if anything there. So we'll see if he gets away with that or not here. Let's jump back live once more. And Nick is back out on track, so I think he's going to get away with that indeed. As Nita mentioned, pit stops, say Scott Rankin already back out, as is Anders Aarhus. But you can see, I think Nick has gained a little bit of time here on that pit stop cycle. The driver you don't see in that fight very close right now is Jim Brooks, as you see. Actually, we're going to jump back up a little further up, because we were seeing a battle right there. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, it was Anders Aarhus getting around the 60 of Joseph Morales. Charles Teed, he hits pit road for his final scheduled stop, which is going to cycle our lead over to Eric Schaus at the moment in that number 72. As right now you can see there's about 8 cars still on the lead lap. However, Scott Rankin is currently trapped 1 lap down here, and that could be Eric's strategy here, is just maybe try to run this thing out as far as you can and maybe get a freebie here and be able to get a pit stop and be able to stay kind of in control of this race, because those guys then have to all take that wave around. So I like this gamble from Eric here. I mean, it worked for him a little earlier, was in pit road right as the yellow came out. Maybe he's able to trap some more drivers here 1 lap down. However, again, looking at the running order, looks like, again, the short pit strategy not working for Jim Brooks, as he's actually lost a spot to Charles Teed as well. So after things cycle through, looks like he'll fall to about the 5th position. So we'll keep an eye as things continue on. But right now, Nick DeGroot is starting to creep into that picture, and this is one of the first times that that Scott Rankin's been in the dirty air of a car in front, and that could be what's allowing that 89 of Nick DeGroot to try to creep into that picture. So like I said, to me this is a very critical juncture of the race here, because again, untimely yellow could completely change the complexion of this race, as right now still at the moment it's Eric Schaus leading here, as we've had looks like about 4 or 5 drivers that have yet to make their final pit stop of this race. As you see, here goes Scott. He's going to look down low here, but he's going to lose momentum. That's going to bring Nick DeGroot even closer behind him in that 156 and the 89 here. This time he's able to complete the pass, and this is where Nick, he can waste no time. He's got to send it right on through here, and he's going to complete that pass as well. Again, I think Eric probably playing a little nice there as well. So that's going to put them back on the tail end of the lead lap, and that's a very important position for those guys to be in, again, just in case. You never know if and when those yellows might fall. Oh, as I say that, Eric Schaus slowing for the pits right in front of Anders Aarhus. Anders hits the wall as well, and it's going to change things completely here, as a few drivers had yet to pit. Unfortunately, Eric trying to pit there got caught by the 10. Not sure if miscommunication or not what happened there, but unfortunately it's a damage for both of those drivers here. However, both should be able to recover from this, but is going to start to shake things up again just that little bit. And we've got pretty much from Matt Wagner on back right now, trapped 1 lap down here. I believe Matt going to be in the lucky dog position. And then from Jim Brooks on back, that we'll have to take a wave around here. But As crazy as all that was, though, basically what's going to happen is Eric's going to pit as the leader, and so it looks like right now 7 drivers on the tail end of the lead lap will be able to cycle all the way back up to the front. Unfortunately for Anders Arhus, he's going to have to pit as well, though. So we'll just have to kind of see where he cycles out as well in that number 10. I think actually, I'm trying to think. I think Anders may have needed to try to run around there. I'm not sure where they were all in order there, but yeah, it's just kind of unfortunate. So let's go back while we're watching the pit here to see what exactly happened to bring out this most recent. Like I said, I don't have the in-game communication, so I'm not sure if there was any discussions there for who was pitting when. But you can see Eric slowing down, and yeah, just Anders was kind of running that low line, and again the speed differential especially for entering the pits and then for trying to work the track. I mean, it's going to be a huge speed difference, and unfortunately, just the two of them get together there coming out of turn number 4. So yeah, I mean, obviously again no intent from that, just a bad situation for both those guys. So I'm going to let this thing cycle all the way through because I'm seeing a very, very different running order here. I said we're going to have a lot of drivers once again getting wave arounds here. I believe, like I said, I believe Matt Wagner was the lucky dog, if I'm not mistaken, that 50 or in the 6 car. Actually, no, he's not gone around. Yeah, the timing of this yellow definitely is shaking things up a lot right now, because what we have right now is we basically have 6 cars solidly on the lead lap here, with Charles Teed being the last of those in 6th. Eric Schaus is going to cycle back up into 5th after being able to loop it around and kind of still come in as the race leader there. But really the big changes right now, 3rd and 4th here, you've got Eric Peterson, you've got AJ Hobson. Eric has now gained 15 spots from 18th to 3rd. And then AJ Hobson from 14th to 4th, and they've just pitted under that yellow as well. So right now those guys have 10 lap fresher tires than Scott and Nick at the front. Eric Schaus also on the same tire strategies as those guys. Probably had to burn a faster pair, unfortunately for him. So yeah, so this is really going to shake things up here as we get the 1 to green. And again, you're going to see a lot of wave rounds here. There goes Matt, Jim, Craig, looks like Alec. So yeah, so basically we're having from about 7th to 14th positions here do that wave around to get back onto that lead lap here. All right, so we're going to restart this thing with just under 30 to go here. It's 30 to go now. We're going to restart with 29 to go. Fuel mileage, tires. Well, tires not out of the question. Fuel, that's done. Nobody else is going to be pitting for fuel to the end. The question is going to be tire wear. Do we see any pit strategies potentially if we get more yellows? Up front, though, I don't think we see any pit stops here as these guys get back to green here with 29 laps remaining. So right now, again, our top 3 as they run is Scott Rankin, Nick DeGroot, Eric Peterson, then AJ Hobson and Charles T rounding out our top 5. So, like I said, everybody's still, again, building up speed, trying to get back in position there. As I think Yari Brewpocker here trying to get himself and make sure he stays in that lucky dog position in the 49 car, because not too far behind him is Anders Arhus, and that's the lucky dog battle. So, as I said, the almost contact between Anders and Charles Teed there. As again, Teed's going to have his eyes set on those guys up in front to try to get that top 3 finish, as he's been showing a lot of pace here tonight. But again, I mean, that lucky dog battle is going to be extremely crucial again if we do possibly get another yellow. See drivers, I think everything's starting to ramp up just a little bit more aggressive. You see Matt Wagner able to get around the 10, but then that slowed him down a little bit. So now Craig Forsyth's going to try to look on the inside here through 1 and 2. Again, gains a little bit through the turns, just loses a tiny bit on the exit. And he's going to hold on to that spot. That's also bringing Jim Brooks into the mix, because you know there's going to be some drivers that are not happy about the way that caution fell, because there's been drivers that have been in the top 5 most of the evening that are now falling into the like near the top 10, like Jim is one of those. However, we're going to go up here to the battle for third, as this would be a podium position between AJ Hobson and Eric Peterson. Or actually, I'm sorry, I'm going for Charles Teed and AJ Hobson, as right now Charles is trying to grab that 4th spot here from AJ Hobson. And again, Charles getting a really good bite off the exit of the turns, and that's what's allowing him to make these passes happen. As he completes the pass, gets around that number 4, move Charles up into that 4th spot. Next online is going to be that 36 of Eric Peterson, to see if he can get into that podium spot right now. A little further back, Craig Forsyth continuing to pressure Matt Wagner for that 7th position there. Right now, Matt has it. Craig trying to find a way to get around him to grab that. And also, Scott Rankin, I think he's done saving tires a few laps ago, around the fastest lap of the race, a 22:33. But pace slowed down a little bit now. It looks like 22:53 for our top 2 drivers that last time around. Actually, it looks like the fastest car on track may have been Charles Teed at a 22:48 in that number 50 car. So I think Charles just hasn't had the track position he's needed in order to really show the pace of that number 50 here. But is doing a good job to try to get back up into the thick of things here. As again, starting to close that gap slowly but surely on Eric Peterson. Again, laps clicking off very quickly here, as we're down to 20 to go already here at New Hampshire. As Eric's got the spot that Charles wants here, about a 0.2 of a second gap. I mean, you can see the difference here. And again, Charles able to really get that car in aggressively. But then the bigger thing I think for me is that he can really get the power down well also. And that's what's allowing him to continue to close that gap, as now he should be able to get just alongside that side pod of that 36 car. Just not quite close enough yet to try to enforce that pass here. They stay side by side. It was a great exit for Charles out of turn number 2. Is it enough to send it into 3? Still stays alongside, but wasn't able to clear on the entry, and so still holds side by side. We're down to 16 to go. The gap up front about a solid second. Nick Zagrid about 2 seconds back. About a second between Nick and Scott. About 2.5 between Nick and Charles. Now, as you see, Charles has completed that pass. Now, he moved himself up into that 3rd position. And we'll jump back here again because Craig Forsyth, Matt Wagner. This fight's not done either, as they continue to battle here for the 7th position. 2 drivers that are very, very familiar with one another, racing each other in various open wheel series here. So I'm sure they definitely are enjoying their fight. Wish it was probably a few positions higher than they are currently, but just the cautions just have not fallen their way here this evening. And that's just unfortunate. It's just the luck of the draw sometimes with these races, especially when it's a tough track to pass out like New Hampshire. And so that's where things are currently sitting at the moment there. And then Eric Schaus, AJ Hobson. This is a top 5 battle right now. AJ has it. Eric trying to find a way to get it. And right now, Eric's got about 14 laps to go to make it happen, make that 13 to go. As Craig again continuing to try to fight Matt Wagner. And Matt's in a tough spot here because he's trapped behind Jari Brupacher. As Jari, again, he's still trying to fight for that lucky dog spot. But maybe getting Matt a little bit of dirty air here. So I'll have to keep an eye on that, as again you see Eric and AJ working with one another as well. Just hasn't had enough to make the moves as of yet. You see now Yari drops to the apron there, letting these guys fight it out here for just about the final 11 laps of the race. As the gap up front starting to shrink just little bits at a time, still about 3/10 of a second, about 3/4 of a second, about 7/10. So I'll keep an eye as if that changes. But right now this is by far our closest battle on track for position, as Eric's got a nose underneath that 4 car here as they enter turn number 3, sends it deep into turn 3. And he's going to be able to hold that position. So big move by Eric to be able to grab that top 5 position here. Put himself now up into that top 5. And with that battling, that's brought AJ Hobson a little closer to Matt Wagner. Craig Forsyth still right there in the thick of this one, as well as we're down to 10 to go, 9 to go at the line. And again, still holds at about 0.8 of a second here. So I say Craig can see he's got some spots in front of him. He's going to want to try to find a way to get there. But again, I think these guys just so even right now, looking at the tires and fuel mileage, and or I should say tire wear. And right now, Matt and Craig are pretty much just a lap apart. However, Eric Peterson, Eric Schaus, AJ Hobson have about 10 lap fresher tires. So that being said, though, they have gotten to AJ Hobson. Matt's already starting to look down the inside here into turn number 1 as we have 8 to go. And it looks like Matt's going to just get alongside, but not enough to get the pass done here. This is going to open up Matt for counterattacks from Craig Forsyth. Maybe he can try to get a 2-for-1 here. That 27 car, he's going to think about it. He's looking low, trying to see maybe make it 3 wide. Matt's going to, again, elbows out there in that 6 car. He's going to grab the spot, but loses momentum on the exit. This is a good opportunity for Craig here through 1 and 2 as we're down to 7 to go here. Matt hangs on to that spot for the moment as we're, again, 6 to go here. Not too far away from getting that 5-lap mark in this race. Again, up front, still holding about 3/4 of a second. However, Scott's starting to catch a little bit of traffic in that 60 of Joseph Morales, so you know that's going to be weighing on Scott's mind a little bit. If he makes the wrong move at the wrong time, he gets in the dirty air of that 60 car. So I'm going to kind of try to keep an eye on both situations here as we'll jump to our race leader as we're, again, 4.5 laps to go here. And again, you can see there Joseph running the high side. So you see there's a reaction there. Scott's going to go down to the inside. There goes the 60. He's going to drop out of the way. Let the leaders on by here to try to continue this fight here with 4 to go. As we're going to jump back now to this battle because they stay side by side. Nope, Matt's able to hold on to that spot for that 6th position. As again, 4 to go for these guys as well, as they sit about a full straightaway behind our race leaders, as Scott's going to come around here for 3 laps to go. So this is where if I had the multi-screen, we'd be watching both battles at the same time. And right there, Matt would have had it at the line, but Craig is getting closer and closer as these laps start to wind down. And this is a great opportunity for Craig. There had a good exit, but not quite enough as of yet here. As leaders, though, cross the line, 2 to go. All right, so we're going to keep an eye on this last lap and a half for our leader. And we'll jump back to that battle for the 6th position between Matt and Craig at the line as well. So right now for Scott Rankin, he just needs to keep this thing pretty for 1 more lap here. Scott Rankin takes the white flag, trying to get win number 2. But he's got to hold off our other winner this season in that 89 of Nick DeGroot. And right now, I say he's in the spot to do so. So it looks like it could be 2 wins for this 156 cars. He's got 1 more set of turns to go. As they come through 3 and 4. Indeed, it's going to be Scott Rankin getting the win here tonight over Nick DeGroot. Charles Teed going to bring it home in 3rd. And that battle for 4th is kind of fills it out just a little bit. Actually, no, Craig Forsyth gets around Matt Wagner. He's going to grab that 6th spot. And then good battle here coming out of 4 as well. You see Jim Brooks, Alec Coates there. AJ Hobson, Jim Herrick, these guys are all going after it there at the very, very end. But in the end, though, it's going to be Scott Rankin getting the win here tonight at New Hampshire. While we watch Scott celebrate here, let's go ahead and pull up our final results for tonight. And it's going to be Scott Rankin with the win over Nick DeGroot, Charles Teed there in third. And fourth, again, Eric Peterson. Great strategy, worked out twice for him, getting that fourth spot. Eric Schaus rounds out our top 5. A great rebound from the pit incident there under the green flag conditions. Actually, honestly, the caution may have come out in his favor even a little bit. Then sixth, that great battle between Craig Forsyth, Matt Wagner. Craig able to grab that position. And then you got Alec Coates, Jim Brooks, AJ Hobson rounding out our top 10. And 11th on back here, you've got Jim Herrick, Jeff Hyson, Jack Walls, Thaddeus McMurray, Yari Brupacher, Anders Arhus, Joseph Morales, and Michael Spell. All right, I think that Scott Rankin used that car up celebrating there. It's a pretty much perfect donuts there once again right in the middle of the start-finish line. So I think he's had a little bit of practice there as well. However, let's go chat with some drivers here. And that is going to be kicking things off with the number 50 of Charles Teed. Say never a dull moment with Charles, especially when it comes to interview time. So let's go ahead and find Charles on over here. All right, I have found that number 50 machine of Charles Teed. Charles, you started in 7th, you finished in 3rd, but I feel like this was just one of those races where shoulda, coulda, woulda. It seemed like just if you could get a little more track position, I think that car seemed like it had a little more pace than what you're able to show tonight. Just it seemed like, especially the cautions, I feel like just didn't fall where you needed to in relation to the guys around you at a couple times. Say notably being one of your partners in crimes on Wednesday, Eric Peterson. But I mean, I'm sure it felt pretty good though, being able to catch people, pass people, because I don't think I saw anybody look much better in traffic than you, especially staying on the inside line, exiting those turns. You made it look so planted there.
It was like I found everyone was giving me shit before the race about how many cars I destroyed in practice, but I was trying to figure out how to get it to run the bottom, and I finally got it there at the very end. I didn't really spend any time at all in qualifying, so I knew I was going to have to pass cars. You're right, the cautions just continually made me pass the same 4 or 5 cars over and over again that would then give Nick and Scott a second and a half, 2 seconds, and I would have burned my car down, the tires down. So I was really hoping that once I got back up to them that we'd get a caution and let us race it out. I feel like I could have gotten under them in the corners. I could be wrong. Scott was really fast. But, by the time every single run I would get to them, my tires would be smoked, and they would then slowly pull out on me. So it is what it is. I qualified for crap, so feel like I passed every car in the field but those 2 about 3 times.
Yeah, I mean, and definitely showed. And so the question I think I have too is I saw a lot of varying strategies of drivers short pitting like Jim Brooks did, and then drivers running it as long as they could, like Eric Peterson, for example. Yep. Was that just based on maybe the fuel maps they're running, or is that more of just maybe some strategies of say, okay, I'm going to try to short pit, see if I can jump people? So like for in your sake, when you pitted, could you have gone further, or was that pretty much all you had on fuel?
I ran it out, and I'm really curious what Jim was thinking on that. My sense is he knew that early in our stint that the tires would be faster and he could go faster and come out in front and then block is kind of what I was thinking he was thinking. I was really questioning his super early stops. I was trying to run it out of fuel so that the caution would happen before I pitted to protect me, but every single time within 1 lap or the lap that I would pit, the caution came out. So it was just super inopportune cautions. Really would have loved to see if I could do something with Scott there, because I think that thing was on rails.
Yeah, you looked extremely solid. So it's one of those things where it's not maybe the result overall you want, but it always feels good that when you know when you know you have the pace that you have, and that's something I was even mentioning was some of these guys. There's probably times where some things are muttered under your guys' breath, but I think when everybody kind of debriefs afterwards, and there's a lot of really hard but close racing at the end, I'm sure a lot of guys are like, man, that was actually a good bit of fun there.
I love this place. This is one of my favorite tracks that we run on, and to have as many incident points as I've had, because I really have not been practicing at all. I don't have time anymore. To jump in, and everyone's giving me heat about how many cars I destroyed. I think that was a 0x race. And I had a blast. I would race here every week because I really think it's a driver's track. It's not just a mash and turn left. You really have to do the throttle control through the corner. So, yeah, I truly had a blast. And thank you for doing the broadcast. Thanks to the Area 51 guys and for putting on the league for us. And Peterson and Schaus and Hobson and I were all in the channels together. And those dirty rats just fumbled into putting around the back to top threes out of nowhere there for a minute. I'm like, I got to get around these knuckleheads. So
yeah, so you can't let them. Yeah, so you can't let them kind of one up you on that one. So did a really good job, like you said, getting those passes done throughout the course of the race there. So, awesome job there tonight, Charles. And like I said, I know, busy man. So you've got your son doing real racing as well. So your calendar's definitely filling up here very quickly.
Yep, it was a lot of fun though. Like I always try to make Tuesday night. So thank you for putting on a great broadcast. Thanks to Wags for working on a good set, and man, it was fun. Congrats to Nick and to Scott for their 1-2, and we'll get them next time.
That sounds good, sir. I'll go let you give him some grief here, and then I'm going to get my next victim there. So, great job tonight, Charles.
Thank you.
All right, so next victim in line is going to be that number 89 of Nick DeGroot. So we're going to pull him on in here for his interview. And so, say similar situation for you, Nick, with Charles, where maybe not quite the qualifying position you wanted there, but able to gain some positions on track, and also I think some really good pit entries and exits. But the one pit stop I gotta go back to is the pit entry. I believe the second stop where you came in with Scott. And I think it was a little bit of netcode, but man, if I didn't see that pit entry cone bobble when you went on by it, so you have to go back and watch the broadcast, because I saw that thing bobble. I was like, oh no, don't tell me it's going to get a penalty for that. But you got away with it, and like I said, I think you actually didn't hit it. In reality, I think just as we know with these cars, not always the most accurate of where they are in track. But man, that looked like you had your hands full in that pit entry.
Yeah, I knew it was close. It felt pretty close. I was getting greedy. I was trying to make up that entire 1 second margin on Scott in the pit entry. So I think we did that, but almost cost us our whole race. So that was a little reckless on my part, but I knew we were going to come out in traffic, and I knew that'd be probably my only opportunity to actually pass him, because when it cycles out and he's got the clean air, there's really not much you could do. Once you get to like half a second behind, you kind of like hit a brick wall. So very aggressive there, but I was hoping it would pay off. Almost did behind Schaus, but yeah, just glad I didn't get a penalty, I guess. Glad that cone stayed standing.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Is you guys were in a really tight spot there because Eric had yet to pit, so you guys are both sitting a lap down. And I mean, are you basically both? We'll ask obviously Scott too, but were you things like, man, if there's yellow, I got to get around Eric as fast as I can, because otherwise he's going to basically have that free pit stop on us, plus maybe those other guys as well. I mean, how much were you sweating that one?
Yeah, normally I would be. That's exactly what I'd be thinking about. But in that moment, I was trying to go high and actually use Schaus as a pick, like get up behind him and clear Scott on the outside. Not really thinking about getting my lap back, just assuming, it'll cycle through, but this is where I have to get Scott. Only a couple laps later, when the caution came out after we passed Schaus, then I realized, ooh, that could have not been good. So I probably should have been focusing more on getting the lap back than going for what was going to be the lead, but it all worked out.
Yeah, so it all worked out in the end. But and so the other side of that too is the strategy side of things. Like you said, you were trying to make the big gains on Scott on the entry there. Did you have any thoughts of either maybe trying to undercut or overcut him by a lap? Like I said, maybe hope that he gets caught in traffic a little bit, or did you feel like your best bet was just to try to see if maybe you could even just jump him in the pits, maybe hit your pit stall that little bit better than him?
It was difficult because our pit window was kind of right on the edge of making it, so there wasn't much wiggle room. But I did have the thought that maybe I shouldn't have called out that I was pitting that lap so early. Maybe I should have waited until Scott was almost upon the pit entrance before I called it out, because I think having that lap on him pitting might have been enough to get him, because fresh tires are worth something here. So, yeah, thinking back to it, yeah, I wish I could have done some kind of undercut, because that would have absolutely gotten you in front of him. And I think it would have hung on just because of how much clean air is worth, but really wasn't much of an option because of how it was working out with the fuel window. It was only like a 2-3 lap window.
Yeah, and that's what Charles was saying too. It was while there was a big range on drivers pitting and when they did, you're right though. It seemed like everybody had a pretty small window themselves. Just I think everybody kind of running different strategies of maybe the fuel map 1 versus fuel map 5, things like that. Yeah. So
and us out front, we're burning more too.
Oh yeah, definitely. You guys, I mean, 22 second laps here at Loudon or New Hampshire. Pretty quick laps for sure.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of short ovals. They're usually my weakness, but this is one short oval that I've always liked for some reason. Gateway's a different story. I'm absolutely terrified of that track, so I'm hoping I survive that next race with all 4 wheels still attached.
Yeah, so it's not too far away if I remember right on the schedule. So, but yeah, I mean, a great job here tonight, Nick. So before we let you go, though, definitely want to give you the floor for thanks and shouts I'd like to give for that second place.
Yeah, Factory Back Motorsports, as always, giving me a great car, great advice too going into the race. Even though I don't have any teammates on track, it's always nice to hear what they have to say. And Covymore.com, Motorsport.com, Cowboy Shit, and all the other backers on this car. It's cool to be battling for wins week in and week out. And I have to say, I love the full season points format. It makes every race feel like it's worth that much more. So that's really cool. And we got some work to do after Auto Club a couple weeks back, but a win in a second will really help erase that. Let's keep it up next week.
Yeah, I definitely made a big jump in the points after that win. Yeah, so I'd say right now you and Scott the only two to have wins this season. So I'll say Scott getting number 2 tonight. But yeah, won't be surprised to see you chasing him down here over the course of that season as well. So yeah, awesome job though tonight, Nick, and definitely looking forward to seeing more of you over the course of this season, man.
Yeah, and it should be interesting because everyone in this field I've raced against before for championships and in many other leagues, I've never gone head-to-head with Scott outside of a few races he did last season. So it's really interesting to go up against somebody where I'm still learning their driving style and where their strengths, their weaknesses. So, yeah, it's real interesting. He's shown so far that he's absolutely a title threat. Should be good.
Yeah, a quick learner and very quick on to go with it as well. So yeah, like I said, I think you're going to have a handful of drivers to be contending with though. But so it'll be fun to see what you guys have in store for us once we get to week number 12. So yeah, so good job though, Nick, tonight, and look forward to seeing you up front in the remaining of the season.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, now we got to jump over to our race winner, and that's going to be that 156 of Scott Rankin. So we're going to pull Scott on in here, as I believe also we're going to grab another driver that had a really good battles as well. See, I think he wants to pull in some interview time as well, and that's going to be that number 6 of Matt Wagner. But Scott pulled to the win here. Probably anything but easy, though. I mean, obviously clean air plays a lot of role in that one. But, man, there was a couple of very close moments for you, just strategy-wise, caution timings. And then I think the biggest one, of course, was when you were trying to get your lap back from Eric Schaus in case of a yellow, and then that yellow winds up does occur after you're able to get that lap back. I mean, I think that's the big one for me. Is, I mean, tell us how crazy was that for you to try to get around Eric, but also to make sure you don't open up a spot for Nick to kind of sneak by you.
Yeah, look, I think that was actually Nick's biggest opportunity tonight. Oh man, I just. The role and the form that I'm on at the moment, and coming up to Schaus, my heart sank a fair bit, because here's the way that I look at this sort of stuff. Oval racing, I will never, ever ask somebody to move out of the way. Circuit racing, blue flag, absolutely. It's a completely different kettle of fish. And the reason for that is that I don't want people to compromise their race. You know, if they're fighting to stay on the lead lap and all that, they are completely and utterly entitled to. They are the only ones. I'm never going to ask for that. And where Schaus was at that point in time, if he'd have given us time by letting us go, which he did in the end, and thank you to him for that, he was compromising his race, and I can never ask somebody to do that. But man, I was I don't think I could have gotten past him. It would have been tight. So
Yeah, it was definitely a really impressive battle that, like I said, that you and Nick were in there, because like I said, it put you in a really tight spot there. But yeah, I mean, you were I'd say pretty much were able to control it from the get go, and I'd say I wouldn't say probably wasn't easy, but definitely made it look easy. I think once you got that track position and got rolling there, so it was a really impressive run. But I know Matt had some stuff he wanted to run through here, so I said I don't want to steal too much of his time as well. So Matt, take it over here, sir. You're gonna have to fix your mic though first. So while we wait for Matt to get everything rolling, so just interrupt me when you're ready, Matt. But yeah, so the one question I had, so the times you pitted for fuel there, Scott, were those basically you had to pit for fuel, or were you also kind of wanting to basically kind of protect maybe the undercut from other drivers? I know I talked to Nick there. He mentioned he pitted when he had to pit. The only thought he had was maybe had he maybe called his pit stop a little bit later on that final stop where you guys came in together. Was your pit entry when he pitted? Was that?
Yeah, he would have jumped me for sure. If he'd have been able to go another lap, I think he would have jumped me for sure.
Okay, and so yours wasn't in response to his
No.
Okay, so you pitted when you had to there on the last stop too.
Both stops, yeah. Look, I mean, the first stop, Anders was running actually quite close to my gearbox throughout a lot of that run, and that's because I was actually fuel map 5ing it. I was trying to push that thing as long as it could go. I hit a critical lap number about 15 laps to the end of the run, whereby I wasn't going to be able to complete another bonus lap in terms of fuel saving. So that's why I turned the mix back up. And at that point, the margin was 0.5, 0.6 of a second. That's where you sort of saw me accelerate away. And it was because I needed to push away at that point. I needed to create a buffer such that an undercut wouldn't be enough, and that I could be cautious with my pit stop and still maintain the position, which is exactly what I went for with Nick as well. Got to a critical lap number where I could not physically gain another lap worth of fuel, turn that fuel mix all the way back up, and then went for it to build that margin. And that's what it's about. It's about critical lap numbers, and you've always got to have in the back of your mind, well, what am I trying to save? I'm very lucky that the fuel software that I do run actually gives me a strategy readout quite regularly, and it'll say you need to save this much fuel to get an extra lap here. You'll need to save this much fuel to prevent another pit stop. So that's what I was running towards tonight, and I hit those numbers pretty much bang on the head, and that's probably, in terms of race strategy and fuel numbers, that's the cleanest I think I've ever run it. So it's really good to see those skills improving on my side as well.
So my question for you is, Scott, this is one of Anders' very strong tracks here, especially last season. He unfortunately he had to take a leave of absence during last year. Was he in your mindset at all going to the start of the race?
I mean, I didn't know about it until somebody mentioned it in one of the Discord chats that I was hanging out about.
Me?
And yeah,
I told you so.
So look, it was in the back of my mind, and one of the biggest things is when you come to a track that somebody's good at, which would obviously be me and Bathurst, those sorts of things. Not only do you know A, how to drive the track quick, but B, and probably more critically, how to set up a pass on those sorts of tracks. Tonight, I really feel as if I've been gifted a win by the way that iRacing has interacted with the setup. So he ran so close to me for so long, and that effort should be applauded because Nick de Groot wasn't able to do it. And he ran closer to me for longer than de Groot did, and that man deserves a huge round of applause.
Yeah, I totally agree. I know Anders is searching for his win, so I know Anders. I know you're watching. I know that first win's coming, buddy. But Scott, I would congratulate you on 2 in a row and a pole.
No, it's not 2 in a row. It's not.
It feels like 2 in a row.
It's 2 this season with Nick holding up the middle.
It feels like 2 in a row. It really does.
Well, I was saying he's going to stretch the points lead out a little bit from that as well, which is, again, it's a season long one, like Nick mentioned. So, I mean, that also, those are going to add up here.
And it's critical. I think one of the biggest factors that's on my mind now is my drop round right now is a 6th.
Yeah, that's insane.
If you're trying to set up a points win, those are big. My mindset and the way that I structure the car is I'm quite good with the numbers and quite good with the math. I'm quite good with working out what I need to do to finish something off or what I need to do to get myself back in the game. So when it comes to that late race season, you're going to see me just let guys go because I don't want to fight. Because I know what my numbers are and what I've got to do. So it's critical. And another big factor tonight is bonus points. 0x race, fastest lap, pole position, most laps led a lap. Like, it is the Queen Suite tonight. And if you'd have said to me, how long ago did you start teaching me, Matt? 6 months ago?
About the beginning of last season.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
about then.
if you'd have said to me that I would be able to do that 6 months ago, I would have laughed you out of the building. I would have thrown money against myself to be able to do that. I just... And the man that's in the commentary box with me, Matt, cannot thank the guy enough. He's constantly talking to me, teaching me little bits and pieces, and to have somebody with his mindset and his coaching technique and just the ability to keep me cool and calm during the race and keep me thinking about what I need to do. You can't ask more.
Well, here's a mindset for you. Our next track we're going to is Gateway. It's almost like
just
a
hand
sister
the trophy
track.
to Matt now.
It's almost like a... No, I don't think so, buddy. Yeah, there's a lot of good drivers you have to beat. But this is almost like a sister track to Loudon, New Hampshire. How do you feel going into the next race, bringing your momentum?
Momentum's key. But I'm also going to have a target on my back. Like, I've already had a quick chat to Nick, and he's aware that I'm the guy to beat right now, and I don't know how to feel about that. Like, to be perfectly honest, I'm out there, I'm watching from Nick, I'm watching Matt and practice and those sorts of things, and I'm trying to learn from them because I still feel like they're the better drivers, and that I need to watch them.
Well, you got a target on your back. Well, good job tonight, Scott. I really enjoyed, you learning, and you're applying it to yourself really well, and you see you celebrate. Hey, it's really great. Just I feel pretty proud. You should be more proud of yourself.
Look, I mean, it's been a whirlwind couple of days. We were lucky enough to win the Daytona 24 over the weekend. Monday night, I chained together, of course, talking Australian time. So that was Sunday for me. Monday night, a league win in the IndyCar, Indy Fix win yesterday, and then today, winning this. Like, a lot of people would be sitting out there and say, hey, he's driving, but a lot of it comes back to luck as well. And right now I'm putting a lot of time and effort into it because I want to be the best that I can be. And the reason I want to be the best I can be is because I'm surrounded by people like Nick, Matt, Henry Bennett from last season, Schaus, Peterson, Teed. Basically, when you mention all that, you run off every name in this league, and I want to be better so that I can enjoy racing with these people. That's what it's about. I'm enjoying the racing. The results are happening. That's fantastic. But the race as a whole is fun. And that's why I'm here. Yeah,
I think it's a really good point there is the good race. I mean, say obviously it wasn't for the win or anything like that, but I mean, Matt, I say you and Craig, an amazing battle there at the end for numerous laps there, I'm sure.
Yep.
So I'm sure afterwards, I'm sure you guys probably debriefed a little bit and had a lot of fun there as well.
Yes, I did. I actually applaud him for that. He dove it in there coming to that last turn. I was really impressed. Hell of a job, Craig. That was a hell of a little battle for seventh. It could have been for second, but it is what it is. Yeah, that was a great job there, Craig. I hope you're watching.
How important is that? Like when Matt sees a guy going to the inside and dive bombing, Matt doesn't just cut him off and just block him. He lets the move happen and tries to make it happen. You don't see that in a lot of leagues. There is so much give in this league and very little take. And that's what makes the racing so good.
Oh, yeah. God. Yeah, yep. I totally agree. Go ahead, Gael.
There's a lot of great give and take, and I think that's what makes it so fun is the camaraderie, and just how well you guys run with one another aggressively but still clean as well. So it was really fun to watch here. But I gotta ask you I guess one more thing here, Scott, because we're able to pull up our fun little profile pictures through the SDK, and so we've got you cardboard box racing with that 156 on the side. And I say, if I'm not mistaken, it looks like two little furry friends that are taking a ride there with you.
Yeah, that's actually put together by my wife, and actually my hair's changed since then. I've actually dyed my hair green as of this week.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's Rufus and Jan, and Jan loves to get up in behind my monitors late of an evening when she hasn't been fed, and Rufus is our boy. They're both rescue cats, and yeah, they're important to our lives. You know, when you can't have a dog, have a rescue cat.
That's really great to hear, Scott. I got myself a rescue. It's a good feeling.
Oh, who took you in, Matt?
Oh, screw off.
we're gonna have to do a pets of Area 51. I have a feeling here pretty soon. So, and let's say the final question before we get to your thanks and shout outs, though, Scott, is gonna be, so is the shoey, is that gonna be the first win with Area 51, or is that gonna be basically every win? Because otherwise you're gonna have a lot of wet shoes here if you keep this up.
Well, I had to watch that. I had to do a shoey on the weekend because of the Daytona 24 win. I actually did two. And then I got straight back in another, at the same time I was running that was in the GT3 split, and then I was running with some LMP guys, so I got back in the car drunk after that and drove really well. So, yeah, no, the shoey will be returning thing. It's a celebratory thing. It's a way for me to just sort of release, like, if you know me, I'm very much an emotional person, and the last sort of 6 months I've been through a lot. There's been a lot of results that have come up short. And whereby, you know, I've been on the other side of the fence in terms of luck, and when you win, you've got to celebrate that. You've got to enjoy every moment of that, because next week I could be in the running for a win and things just don't go my way. You know, things go in the opposite direction. So you've got to make sure that you celebrate every win for sure.
Yep, I like that. Yeah, and you say you definitely got to enjoy them when you have them, because, like I said, you never know when the next ones are coming. So, with that though, Scott, we got to give you the floor here. Definitely want to give you all the opportunity here for thanks and shouts for your sponsors, for anybody that's able to help you kind of be able to do what you do here with the league. Yeah.
So first, primarily, I mean, I've already said it within this interview, but I'll say it again to each and every driver within the league. This league is what it is because of each and every driver. This league is what it is because of all the league admins, which is what I'm useless with the names. Where we got Jim, Kawabi, Matt, and Michael, I believe, are the admins. Would that be correct, Matt?
Kawabi would be the favorite son of Gael.
there's yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is there's a lot of faces, and that's the thing, is each series. So, like, yeah, like on the indie side, yeah, I say Jim, and it's probably kind of Jim and Matt's baby, I would say, for the indie side of things. But you're right though. I mean, there's a lot of names. I mean, they run the 4 series over the course of the week. So yeah, it's definitely, there's a lot of people behind the scenes that definitely help make this what it is.
Yeah, and it's the culture that this league has bred, and that even though there may only be 2 admins or whatever dedicated to an indie server, it comes across from the other leagues. So it's very, very important to thank all the admins right across, even though I will never interact with some of those guys, because what they do is actually important in terms of the mindset. For the Indie Autosports team, big shout out to the guys winning D24, driving 90 minutes with a limping car was one of the highlights of my life. To drive that car to a win. I'll never have an experience that'll be, and a story to tell for years that'll be quite like that. So there's that whole team that we did the Daytona 24 with, Sim Thunder and Simcoin. If you're looking for a Bitcoin related to simulator racing, Simcoin's the one to invest in. And of course, Sim Thunder will cover all your setups. You can pay for them in Simcoin, which I think is amazing. Martin Sports Apparel, who we're going to have to go to and talk to about getting some shirts printed up for the D24 win. They can't thank those guys enough, because all the work that they do for our team. Personal sponsors, 24/7 Race Control. The reason I'm able to drive as quickly as I am, I think at the moment, it comes down to a new direct drive wheel with thanks to simrigs.com. Yeah, and then just everyone that surrounds me, man. I can't thank my wife enough. She lets me do this all day. She lets me Yahoo. And I woke her up at, I think, 12:30 midnight on Sunday night to celebrate and do multiple shoeys on Sunday. So, a big shout out to her.
So it was a well-earned win here tonight, Scott. I said 2 out of 3 this season. So, like I said, and then the right now your drop week, if you will, be a 6th place. So a great start to the season. Still got plenty more racing to go. But yeah, like I said, definitely enjoy this one. It's gonna be a lot of fun to see you over the course of the season. Like I said, and it's gonna be a season-long one, no playoffs or anything like that. So just keep it up and say I think your calculated approach looks like it might be the way to go so far.
Thanks, boys. Thank you so much, and thank you guys for broadcasting a race as well. We can't get interviewed, can't get to thank our sponsors without you guys. So that's so important as well. Thank you so much to everyone.
Good job tonight, sir, Scott.
Yep, great job.
Round of applause for you.
All right, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and finish things up over here. So once again, really want to thank everybody that was able to hop on and support us here with Green White Checker TV, Area 51 Racing, League, Dark Horse Racing. As they were mentioning, his cats. As I got one hopping on my lap right now. But yeah, just thank you all so much, I'd say, for being able to make Green White Checker TV what it's been and what it's going to hopefully become over the course of the years. It's been a lot of fun. Looking forward to continuing the growth there. Steve, as always, man, missed you. Look forward to having you back in the booth here as soon as you are able to as well. But yeah, always a pleasure to share the booth with you also, man. So everybody that's watching, thank you all so much. We will be back on Thursday night for the Super Speedway Truck Series. It'll be race number 3. And I'll be sharing the booth there with Brendan Webb. We'll probably have some more Daytona 24 stories with him. We'll say we actually were able to race together in that one. And then, of course, back on Sunday night for the Xfinity Super Speedway Series. So until then, hope you all have a wonderful evening. As always, of course, if you can, stay safe. And until next time, have a good night, everyone. Take care.